Coming up on today's Next Fan Up podcast, the SuperFan battles. Here we go.
That's how we start. Yeah, baby.
32 SuperFans.
Where do the reports come from? Did you get an initial?
One Pod Vader.
That's football.
Every angle of the NFL covered.
All that kind of stuff, I get it.
This,
no question about it,
is Next Fan Up.
We're going to unleash hell here in December.
Hello and welcome to SuperFan Friday. Hey everybody, Pod Vader here, just to give you a little intro and a little outro about what you're going to hear on Fridays. Now, can't promise that we'll be here every Friday, but you're here this Friday, and what you have are two SuperFan battles. We've decided to push the SuperFan battles back to Fridays instead of giving them to you earlier. There's no reason to put them in the Thursday show because the Thursday show is already long enough. And honestly, it's a good weekend treat, if you will. Something to keep your appetite whetted while you wait for Sunday football. And so here you go. We have two SuperFan battles for you this week. Maybe we'll have more next week. Maybe we'll have less. But you know how we do it here on the Next Fan Up show. We're going to give you as much content as we possibly can, and there's no way better to get a perspective on what's about to happen on Sunday than straight from the perspective of the people who know best, the fans. With that, I give you SuperFan Battle number 1.
Battle of the SuperFans.
Oh, hey, it is I, Josh, your Detroit Lions superfan. And boy, am I excited to be back. I didn't know if I would be back this year doing any SuperFan battles. And just like we were discussing before we hopped on here to record this SuperFan battle, Brian, our good friend and Green Bay Packers superfan, has joined me for this Week 2 matchup between my Lions and his Packers in the year of COVID 2020. And we finally made it, my friend. We were just talking about it feels good to be talking some ball.
Yeah, it sure does. You know, back in February, March, I'll be honest, I did not expect we would be here, but I am happy that we are. Man, oh man, am I glad to have football back.
Man, you are not kidding, brother. And, you know, without further ado, we'll just go ahead and jump right into this Week 2 action. It's kind of weird. It's just like Week 2 last year. My Lions have this huge lead, and they just kind of piss it away there in the fourth quarter, and boy, did that sting last week. So we are 0-1 coming into a game where you guys are 1-0 coming off of a sweet shootout, just a tasty back and forth between the Vikings there. Rodgers looked like he was in vintage form, and not looking good for my Lions because we had, I think, every cornerback on the roster, it felt like, went down. We had Jeff Okudah, getting banged up there late last week, getting scratched. So our first round pick, not even coming out of the garage yet. And that's disappointing. So I'm not really sure, Brian, how we're going to keep up with Rodgers and the so far, after 1 week, high-powered Packers offense. So I'm a little concerned, my friend. What do you think we have on tap here for this matchup?
Yeah, that was the matchup that I had circled too. Rodgers was just lights out last week. It was one of the best games I'd seen him play in quite some time. Not necessarily forcing the ball, but just distributing and also taking shots down the field. So maybe a little bit more than distributing. So, yeah, the offense was humming. I'll be curious to see how this week shapes up. For one, I think the Vikings might be bad. And so I'm not trying not to take too much away from last week. And quite frankly, the defense was a little bit concerning last week as well. So I think the Lions are going to test us this week in the secondary, especially, I think. I haven't seen any reports on Kenny Golladay, but I know he missed last week. Do you think he's going to play on Sunday?
Yeah, I'm not liking this. This injury happened so late last week that it caught a lot of Lions fans off guard. I even had one of my friends kind of text me like right before kickoff, like, where's Golladay? And, I don't know how you miss it. I think it happened like midweek, but very concerning because with Galladay going down, it looks like he's probably not going to really practice at all until later in the week if he does. So, we're going to have to keep an eye on it. By the time you guys are all listening to this, it still might be up in the air. So he's one of those guys that with just how late this injury kind of cropped up, honestly, Brian, I think he's probably going to be a game time decision. So it's going to be tricky. I mean, it sounds like Trufant is going to play on the other side of the ball. And, if Okudah makes his debut, I mean, a lot of Lions fans are looking forward to this. I mean, after all, you did trade Darius Slay, which you kind of had to do, with him being so disgruntled here in Detroit. But if we can get our first round pick on the board, the guy that's supposed to replace our arguably best defender, and then get Trufant back, that would be good because we did lose Justin Coleman. I know Lions did sign Chris Jones off of the practice squad. I think kind of the silver lining to last week's losses, we did have Darryl Roberts emerge. Of course, checking out PFF had a real glowing review for him and against the Bears, which, Anthony Miller and Allen Robinson, that's a pretty underrated duo there. So I do think that was kind of a good test for some of these lower level guys, but nice to see that if we could get the corners healthy, that Roberts could basically be like a real good cornerback like a good dime back. But I don't know, man. Like it's really just a question mark with that secondary and with Galladay. Your Packers secondary and Jair Alexander definitely going to have a lot easier time keeping tabs on guys like Danny Amendola and Quintez Cephas if Kenny's out,
Yeah, I was going to say, I think Kenny Galladay really gives you guys a different dimension and one that we have a harder time defending. Just he's a kind of a bigger frame receiver, can still threaten down the field. So, if he does play, I'd be curious to see what the Packers do defensively if we try to play more Jair, who's probably our best corner, or Kevin King, who might be a better matchup just physically. I think that'd be something to watch. I'll be also interested to see, the Packers had a hard time kind of getting the ball moving on the ground last week. I think second half we started to break a few open, but it seemed like a lot of 3 yards in a cloud of dust. A lot of motion in that offense, and I think a lot of it is too much side to side and maybe not enough running downhill. So that's something I'd like to see the Packers clean up. We did struggle a bit in the red zone last week, so that'll be another thing to watch for those Packer fans out there. We still managed to put up 43 points, so you gotta pick your battles, I suppose. But something to watch for, and just in terms of areas to clean up for Green Bay. I think one of the other big concerns that I have as a Packer fan is we have our own injuries to deal with, and probably none bigger, literally and figuratively, than Kenny Clark. He has a groin injury this week, questionable to play this week. I saw we signed another defensive lineman to our practice squad earlier today, so you can read your own tea leaves there, but he's really the guy on our defensive line that we need to help mask how bad our inside linebackers at least have been historically. And so if he's not out there, I think it's going to be harder to defend Detroit, especially kind of in the running game. Which brings me to a question. You got kind of a three-headed monster going on in Detroit. How do you think that shakes out against Green Bay?
Well, I mean, when you spend your last couple of years second-round pick on a running back, I mean, you got to bring in like a 38-year-old running back or however old. Don't get me wrong, dude. Like, he looked great, which just totally didn't expect that. With Swift being active, I think a lot of Lions fans going in didn't think we were going to get to see Swift or Okudah once they had made the announcement that Okudah wasn't going to play. So, just kind of weird. Of course, he drops that touchdown at the end of the game, so he's kind of like the old, fall. Dude, what am I trying to say here? Scapegoat for the loss last. But I mean, Lions put themselves in that position. But it's definitely not something I wanted to see. I fully think that Kerryon Johnson and DeAndre Swift are capable guys. Just I think it's kind of gross the way that this three-headed monster's emerged. I think that's going to actually incentivize them to try to run more, quote unquote, slow down Rodgers and company. But I don't know, man. I mean, it could work. Ryan, we always play Green Bay tough, even though our secondary is beat up and, Rodgers is out there, they could just, try to ground and pound. Cephas was out there getting a lot of those Kenny Galladay looks last week, but they still have TJ Hawkinson. So I mean, there's who knows? They'll probably keep him in and have him block a little more this week and try to get that ground game going. That would be my guess. But with the way both of these games played out last year, I won't get into some of the sickening details. I'll spare some of the folks, but basically the way that these games both played out, they were both, a 2-point game and a 3-point game, or I'm sorry, a 1-point game and a 3-point game. And at no point during the regulation contests did the Packers hold a lead, yet they emerged 2-0 victors. So I'll let everyone figure out how a team trails another for 120 minutes of two 60-minute contests and ends up getting 2 Ws. But I got a feeling it could be a little closer. I mean, from a betting perspective, the Lions are getting like a touchdown, and I feel like that's a little too much, man. I mean, these interdivisional games tend to be a little closer to the vest. Especially the second time around. I know this is the first matchup here. We are only in week 2 after all, but I do think it's going to be a little bit closer. At least that's what I'm hoping, man. I just don't want to see us get blown out. But at this point, man, being up by 17 really doesn't mean much going into the fourth quarter if you're a Lions fan. So it is. It's just, it's things we've gotten used to at this point, Brian.
Yeah, I think I will say you're right when you say that the Lions have played the Packers tough. And it wasn't just last year. It's been for the last couple of years they've given us trouble. And so, yeah, I'm also expecting a tighter game than Vegas. I think it'll be, I think the Packers will still win, but maybe not the touchdown favorites that they're getting from Las Vegas. So, I don't know. The guy who scares me the most for Detroit, especially if Galladay doesn't play, you mentioned a minute ago, and it's Hawkinson. And I think Green Bay's really struggled in pass defense of tight ends. And so I guess I'd be curious. You mentioned you think he's probably a little bit more inclined to be assigned more blocking duties, but what are your thoughts about him as a pass catcher, and what are the prospects for him this week?
Oh, dude, I love the guy. Like that's absolutely who I wanted him to take, in the 2019 draft. So I was elated. We always do like those 2 go-arounds with our SuperFan mock draft. And I mean, that's my guy. And, I want to be clear. I don't want to see him out there blocking a lot. I want him out there. I want them running a lot of play action and running him up the seams because of, like you said, I think there's things that the Packers linebackers do well, with losing, some of the guys that they did in the linebacking core in the offseason. I just think that a game plan centered around Hawkinson would make the most sense to me. I just hope they don't go super run heavy, because I feel like they could be successful. They're, and that's the thing that really makes me mad is they have been super aggressive, early in games, and they get these big leads. And then the discussion was, 2020 is going to be different because last year they were aggressive. They got up early on a lot of teams, and they pissed away these W's, man. And that's see the same thing in week 1, and all you're stressing in the off season that you're going to go out and you're going to finish these games and you're going to, just full throttle. But then we put it in AP's gut like 8 times in the fourth quarter or whatever the hell happened. So you can't do that, man. You got to be going play action. You got to get Hawkinson involved. And honestly, man, like if they don't, I think that's just a mistake, and they're probably going to deserve to lose. But, I think you and I are in agreement. It'll probably end up being a close game. That being said, man, do you have a final score prediction at all?
Yeah, I'll give you 21-27. I'm picking my Packers.
Yeah, see, with just the whole off season being as weird as it was, I think it'll probably be a little higher scoring than we're used to seeing the last year, just because these defenses are a little bit different. It's been a different transitionary period. So I'm probably going to say like 27-24. I think last year both these teams scored in the low 20s each time. So that sounds about right, my friend. But we will definitely see how this one plays out. Of course, Sunday, that's 1 p.m. kick. Looking forward to it, buddy.
Yeah, the feeling's mutual.
Awesome. Well, thanks for coming on. We will throw it back over to Pop for the next SuperFan battle.
You bet. Go Pack, go.
Battle of the SuperFan.
All right, I am your Jaguars superfan with the superfan battle against Jordan, the Titans superfan. My name is Ryan, and this is, yes, a battle already in week 2, unbelievably, between the Jaguars and Titans for first place in the AFC South. It's on the line, sole possession. But, Jordan, before we get going, all the fans out there of Next Fan Up that have been following the storyline for years, all the rabid fans, it's time to finally, put a bow on the end of the Blake Bortles, Marcus Mariota debate, and I proudly take the win on this one. How do you feel about losing that battle? Your thoughts?
I don't know, but I think we already established last year that I took the win on that one. So, I mean, only one of those quarterbacks won a playoff game. The other one has just never been heard from again. But, I think 5 years from now, nobody might remember either of these quarterbacks. So, I don't know. I guess Blake Bortles did win a playoff game, so I guess I'm wrong about that. But
you are. Now, it's obviously been erased from my memory if I gave you the win on that one. So it just shows what I know. But, just looking at their careers now that they're both off those teams, Blake Bortles got to a championship game minutes away from Super Bowl. Mariota, he threw a terrible pass that got knocked back to himself and won a playoff game, on sheer luck. So that's how I look at their careers. Blake Bortles, obviously, America knows the superior quarterback.
I'll have you know that Marcus Mariota did play in the AFC Championship game last year. Okay, he may not have been the starter. He was on the field for several Wildcat plays, so he does get credit in us going to the AFC Championship game. He was on the field for a touchdown against the Ravens when Derrick Henry threw a touchdown pass to Corey Davis. Mariota was standing near the sideline. He was actually wide open, but Derrick didn't throw to him. That's okay. But he contributed. He won very recently. So, I'm not going to concede. We're going to have to see how their careers follow. Maybe next year we'll still have an update with the Raiders, Mariota, and the Rams, Bortles. We're going to have to see how this goes forward. It's not over yet.
Well, America is excited. We'll keep track of this debate for years to come. If I'm not mistaken, Bortles is not even on the Rams anymore. But enough of that. Let's get into week 2. I was not as down on this team as everyone expected the Jaguars to be 0-16. But did I expect a win in week 1? No, I can't say that I did. A lot of young players. And that was against the Colts. Jordan's Titans played on Monday Night Football. One of the ugliest games you could have ever seen against the Broncos. Came out with a victory.
Classic Titans.
What's that? Did I mess up?
I said classic Titans. Anytime you lead with one of the most ugly games you've ever seen, but they get the win. That's just classic Titans.
Yeah, classic Titans for being the most evil, despicable team in the entire National Football League that America wishes was just no longer even allowed to participate. But, here we are, both 1-0. My first question to you is, we all know strange offseason. We all know no time to prepare, blah, blah, blah. But all teams had to deal with that. I actually want to ask you, on the field, what did you like about Monday night's game, their week 1 performance on the field?
I mean, I like that we drove the ball. We had lots of long series. It's just that we literally gave away 10 points from missed field goals and extra points. So if it wasn't for that, it wouldn't have been as close. But, before the season started, I had to deal with all this, like, oh, what happens if they take away Derrick Henry? What happens if they take away the play action? And then we get the ball on the 10-yard line with like under 3 minutes left, and Tannehill, leads us down the field to get as close as possible so that Gostkowski could actually make it. So, that was pretty impressive. And Corey Davis seemed to come alive finally. We've only been waiting 4 or 5 years for that. And I think the defense, we had like a great goal line stand. Clowney looked good. So we had Rashaan Evans get ejected right away, and Adoree Jackson was out. So the defense held up pretty well. So I knew it was going to be tough in the altitude in week 1. So I was pretty happy to just take the win, get out of here. I'm only upset that Gostkowski is still on the roster. I want him gone as soon as possible. But other than that, I accept ugly wins. Some people don't. I'm totally fine with it. If we get the win at the end, I'll take it. I'm not complaining. So, yeah, I got to say, I don't think I've ever been able to say Titans and Jaguars, the winner is going to be in first place in the division. I don't think we've been able to say that in at least a decade.
Yeah, probably certainly not. I think while we've been doing these previews, I don't think that would be possible. Maybe I think in 2017 the Jaguars were still too far away, even though there was a win there by the Titans. So yeah, I'm not entirely sure. Let's just go with it. Yep, 100% sole possession of first place, and the Stephen Gostkowski thing. It's too easy of a joke. I didn't even do it. I mean, they're calling him a future Hall of Famer, and he misses everything. And the next best thing to me than a Titans loss, which is beautiful, is them looking kind of bad in a win. What else can you ask for? Jaguars, week 1 against the Colts. Some people are picking the Colts to go to the Super Bowl. It was not a perfect game. Defense gave up a lot of yards, but a lot of timely plays, especially by rookies. C.J. Henderson looking great. I know it's Phil Rivers on the other side, who I do like. I hate that he's on the Colts, but he gives up interceptions. But still, nice plays. 2 interceptions by the defense. Getting a lot of yards given up. A lot of things that the Colts could have cleaned up and maybe gotten away with the victory. But you got the timely plays, and then you have the efficient does not cover it. 19 of 20 on the day for Gardner Minshew and 3 touchdowns. And undrafted rookie James Robinson running well in the first half. All in all, just a nice blend of team, which Doug Marrone has been stressing the entire offseason. No one wants to listen to him when he's saying those things because we're getting rid of people that players that people recognize. But the team played well, and the Jaguars came out with a win. Does any of that scream real to you? Did you view this as a fluke and the Colts loss? How are you feeling, playing the Jaguars in week 2?
Oh, I feel great. I mean, I wish we could do this every week. And I like how you're citing the great performance out of your rookies, because I'm just wondering, do you have anyone else left on your team besides the rookies who could make plays? Because everybody else has left. So it makes sense that the rookies are making plays. I'm just wondering, so does this mean you're not on the whole tank for Trevor bandwagon? It sounds like you've got the Minshew mania going on.
My God.
You're going all in. You think you got – like, what are your hopes for this season? Because I feel like there probably are Jags fans that want to get a good draft pick. But do you think they got a chance to be competitive here?
Well, they showed in week 1 they have a chance to be competitive. And let me just tell that I want to gather NFL fans around a campfire, sports fans, and just let them know that let's go with the greatest trick the devil ever played is making you root against your own team. It is the stupidest idea in sports, and it doesn't work, and you never know what you're actually going to get. You should never root against your team to win. It's mind-boggling to me. Everyone thinks Trevor Lawrence is going to be great. Andrew Luck got to 1 championship game, and he retired early. You could get that. You could get highly drafted players such as Marcus Mariota or Blake Bortles. What if you don't get the number 1 pick, you get the number 2 pick, and you get the second? In general. So am I on the Minshew bandwagon? I mean, I like what I see. I think he got way overlooked heading into this year because he had a great rookie season. I would absolutely love for him to be a franchise quarterback. In his second year, let's see after 1 week. But my stance is I'm rooting for the Jaguars to win every week. If the cards fall where they do and we have 2 draft picks, 2 first-round picks next year, we'll see. But I'm riding with Minshew mania, baby. Why not? 1-0. Let's get to 2-0. There's my answer.
All right, that's good to know. Well, if we want to talk about this game for a second, you know what? I'm just wondering, what should we set the over-under of Derrick Henry's rushing yards at? I'm thinking, I think we start that about 200. What do you think?
I want to say under. Let me tell you about 2 defensive lines that surprised me in week 1. One is the Denver Broncos, and 2 is the Jacksonville Jaguars. Held the Colts really low on their rushing totals. And supposedly all these crazy moves that everyone thinks is to get Trevor Lawrence, which makes no sense because Doug Marrone and Dave Caldwell would be fired. All these guys have bought into team. And, after 1 week anyway, and the line looks better. And here's the here is like the test of the year for the Jaguars. This is a team that in Tennessee is just a house of horrors. Derrick Henry's running for 99 yards on a touchdown score. Let's see it. But you set the number at 200. I'm going under.
Okay. Bold. I like that. I don't think we've ever been someone's test before, so I feel like we're really moving up in the world now. So this is great.
It's a test for the Jaguars because it's a rival, and Derrick Henry seems to just run over them, and it's embarrassing. But now guys that actually do their assignments, unlike Ronnie Harrison who got traded, now they have those guys, so they'll at least be in their gaps. So instead of a 90-yard run, maybe they're 8-yard runs. But we'll see.
Yeah, you can only hope he'll only be running for 8 yards at a time. Well, let's see. What should we talk about here? How do you think your offense is going to be doing here? With you think Minshew is going to keep up his, what was it, 95% completion percentage? Pretty impressive.
Definitely for the whole year. It is impressive, and one of the best offseason acquisitions for anybody, in my opinion, any team, is Jay Gruden. Say what you want about head coach, but he was great as an OC in Cincinnati. He got Kirk Cousins as a head coach, to the playoffs. I think what he's going to dial up is really going to help the entire team. Maybe after 1 week of film, Tennessee gets to see that and break some stuff up. But I imagine he has different looks. Laviska Shenault as a rookie, even if he's not a superstar, they get to use him in multiple weird sort of gadget ways. And he's a really strong – he's like a running back as a wide receiver. So he gives them kind of an edge. So the scheme and Shenault and then Chark over the top is nice. I think it gives Minshew a chance to just kind of use his smarts, as everyone talks about how smart he is, and just kind of pick up what's there. Tennessee, dude, it's going to be a challenge, but I as long as it's not a heavy sack day, you can't really expect, I would say, Minshew to make giant mistakes. But if something is dialed up for him to be confused on the other side, maybe that can happen. But as long as he's patient, which he can be, I think he's just going to hit the open guys all day. Will it be enough points? We'll see. But I would expect efficiency to continue.
Yeah, he has been pretty good. He's able to complete passes. I mean, he's no Blake Bortles out there where we could count on interceptions and missing open people. So we are going to have to at least play some defense. But, I'm excited because, you mentioned that how ugly our Monday night game was. It was such a grind. We had the altitude. We had an ejection. Just a whole drag your feet in the mud game. now we get to just, like, I feel like I get to just kick back and relax and just watch Derek run as much as he wants. And I'm really looking forward. I'm really glad that we have the Jaguars up in week 2 here. So I'm excited. I'm glad that we're playing you.
You know, listen, I'm very excited about the future of the Tennessee Titans. Let me tell you, you get a running back that had 1 million carries, and then you gave him a bunch of money. You, alarmingly give the next sort of Blake Bortles horror story, Ryan Tannehill, everybody's favorite QB. You give him a bunch of money long term. What could go wrong with 2 contracts to 2 characters like that? And then, of course, just like everyone thought the Jaguars are going 0-16, you're already given a win on Sunday. So it's all, you don't have to take it seriously. There's nothing to worry about. Everything obviously is just going to go great for Tennessee. I as a Jaguars fan, hearing all those details, I'm just excited to see the future of the Titans.
I feel like this is exactly where we were in reverse like 3 years ago after the Jags went to the AFC Championship game. Then they were like 2-0. The Titans were coming in and like Mariota was injured, and I think we won like 9-6 or something. This feels like it's like the complete opposite of that game in terms of where these teams are and like what the expectations are. Because I'm not gonna lie, I do feel very confident about this game out of all the games on our schedule. But if you guys win, then who knows? Maybe you guys can be a contender after all. But I just know the last time we played you guys with Tannehill last year, it was just a beautiful thing. Because you guys, the problem with you guys is you just aren't able to tackle Derrick Henry or even like AJ Brown. And so hopefully your tackling has improved, or else it's going to be a long game, I think, for you guys.
So with my sarcastic laden rant that I had and assuming that things may not go as rosy as people think for Tennessee, my point is there's almost no pressure on the Jaguars in this game. They're coming in 1-0, which surprises people. Tennessee, is a team that got to the championship game last year. They are, heavily favored to win on Sunday. So all the pressure's on Tennessee, and it'll just be interesting. I mean, it is a possibility that Jacksonville comes out of this 2-0 and is alone at the top of the division. It sounds weird even to say because of how everyone thought they would be tanking, but it's football, and that's why they play the games. I do think the tackling will be better. It seems everyone's brought into the team concept, and that's what I'm going for, but maybe that storyline will be blown up after week 1. I think we should wrap it up here. Do you have a prediction for Sunday?
I do have a prediction. As I said, I'm not just saying this to rub this in, but I do think Derrick Henry is going to get 150 to 200 yards. I think we're going to score a lot of points. Like I think you guys are going to come crashing down to earth after last week. So I think the Titans are going to win big, something like 41-14 or something. And what's nice for both of us is that the Texans are playing the Ravens and the Colts are playing the Vikings, so they could both lose again. So whoever wins this game could have more than just a 1-game lead. So pretty exciting. But I'd love to hear your prediction.
Well, the problem is I'm a very objective football fan, but I can't be objective with the Tennessee Titans because I hate them so much within my soul and like my physiology, just my body. It just hates them so much.
Right.
So I can't come on here and tell you that the Titans are going to beat the Jaguars. So whether I believe it or not, we're just going to go with a little 21-20 Jaguars. And they're one of the stories after week 2. I'm living off that win. We'll see what really happens. And I do think Henry's not going to go for like 240 this time around. So we'll see what actually happens on Sunday, but let's give the Jaggies a chance. Why not? 21-20.
Yeah, I love the confidence. I really hope you like savor this feeling for the next few days. Like you guys are 1-0, you're tied for first in the division. Like, you guys just pulled off a great upset. So I hope you do cherish that up until Sunday, because I think it's all going to come crashing down, and the hatred you have for the Titans is just going to keep rising. So I'm looking forward to it. But I will say, due to these expectations, if the Jags did pull off the upset, these tables would completely turn, because my expectations for the year would just come all the way down if we lost this game. So you at least, you're right. You don't have any pressure on this game, and you have the chance to really mess things up for us.
There it is. I can hear it. No pressure, Titans. Congrats on your win that you'll obviously get with no other possible outcomes in the world happening in week 2.
All right, thank you. Sounds beautiful. I can't wait.
All right. See you next time.
Thanks to Josh and Brian and Ryan and Jordan for those SuperFan battles. Very exciting. Like I said, sometimes on Fridays we'll have them. Sometimes we might have more. Sometimes we may not have a Friday podcast. One thing I can tell you is the next time you hear from me will hopefully be on Tuesday, when I bring you the not a week 2 recap. We will try and feature as much of the best post-game sound that you can hear on the internets. So I will bring that to you on Tuesdays. I might be joined by James. I may not be. It's one of those things where it's up in the air. We'll see how everything ends up panning out. Then on Wednesdays, you're going to get the Thursday night SuperFan battle to preview the Thursday night games. We want to make sure we give you enough time ahead of time to really sink your teeth into that. And then, of course, we will always be with you on Thursdays to provide the entire week preview on Thursday afternoon. So plenty of stuff to get from the Next Fan Up podcast. And so you don't miss any of these shows, you want to make sure that you are subscribed or following wherever great podcasts are heard. Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Pandora, Amazon Music. Anywhere that you can get a podcast, you'll be able to hear the Next Fan Up podcast. All you need to do is search for Next Fan Up in your favorite podcast player platform search bar. And send us emails. If you hear some great post-game sound, send that to me, nextfanup@gmail.com. You can also tweet at NFU Podcast. Get those great recipes that we have from Doc, the Gridiron Award-winning chef. This week we've got some, oh my gosh, my mouth is watering already. The sauteed mushroom, oh my goodness. You got to go to facebook.com/NFU podcast. Start making some of these recipes. The maple marinated pork tenderloin. Oh my goodness gracious. You know what? I got to get some dinner in my belly because I just made myself super hungry. With that, here's Kofi Annan. There you have it.
Dear friends and colleagues, saying goodbye is never easy. I believe we can all feel proud of what we have done together, and through it all, you have maintained your professionalism and commitment and remained true to the spirit of the Charter. That principle.
We go out, we hit people in the mouth.